All right, here is the look at a new release from J.E. Alvarez, aka Rick Alvarez. He worked for Hasbro and has done some other works within the Transformers or robots community. This is the unofficial guide to vintage Transformers, the 1980s through the 1990s, and it's a nice visual guide to let's bookmark out so about the author. A nice visual guide to Transformers from G1, including some Diaclone stuff, all the way up through all the years, all the way up through the end of Beast Wars. You get all the way up to Transmetal Megatron here, and then some old curios and licensed products and things from back in the day. And it's like I said, and I know the value of this book before I even got too far into this. I knew the value of this book, or at least the what's the word I'm looking for? The usability of this book, because a while back, many years ago, I'm not even sure what the date on this original one was. Okay, this was copyright 2001. And that's about when my friend found this and got it for me. It's an updated version of the old unofficial guide to Transformers, also by Rick. And there is some carryover. Some of the pictures are reused in the new book. Obviously, in the new one, prices are updated. This one's a lot more complete. The new one. There's a lot. Prices are updated. A lot more figures and characters are in here. As you got access to more people's collections, because you'll see a lot of credits. Looks like courtesy of Dan Hodgkinson. I know Orson from Captured Prey contributed some pictures. Or parts of, Orson Christian of CapturedPrey.com contributed at least the figures for the photography. So there's updated stuff in here with a lot more figures, some Japanese characters, as well as the Pretender. More pictures of some of these characters and some of these figures and toys. And again, it goes a little further. The original book had some Machine Wars and had up through Transmetal Beast Wars, but this one goes all the way through the end of the Transmetal 2s up through the end of Beast Wars and the last of the line, and then Machine Wars and such. And like I said, I know the value of this book because the older version that I had, that was kind of my, hey, I want to take some time, I've got a few minutes, I'll pull this down, I want to buy an old Transformer, maybe one I didn't have before. What kind of Transformers are out there? I use that book all the time, just going through and be like, oh, I never had that guy. I want to get that guy. And that informed a lot of my purchases for a while. And not everything is 100% complete. It's not a definitive, here is exactly what to look for on an eBay auction. But it does give you decent, like I said, the prices are updated. Some of these things, some of these listings will have, here's what it should go for. Here's an average price for it. There's a checklist at the beginning of each section here. That's actually widening out the page there. But here's the 1988 checklist with the Sparkabots and the small Target Masters and the Decepticon Seacons and all that. But yeah, it's a very handy guide, and it's nice to now have an updated current version of this because, like I said, whenever I get the itch to be like, let's go get a Transformer that I never had before. Which Transformers haven't I had before? Flipping through this and being like, oh, that guy. Oh yeah, I remember that guy. My friend had him. And I'll go and I'll try to find one on eBay or look around for one. Like, oh yeah, I really remember having that one. So it's nicely presented. I like the new art on the cover. It's a much more dynamic cover. Ultra Magnus on the back, a little rundown there on the back, and like I said, on top of just here's little bits and pictures of the characters, there's also rundowns at the beginning of each chapter of what changed in the line this time around, what were the new concepts introduced this year in the line, as well as some breakdowns on this was only some of the Japanese stuff. This is where it was happened. Some of the various release variants, they've got both of the G2 dinos. The green snarl and the red slag versus the green slag and the red snarl. But yeah, just a lot of neat stuff that I remember hearing about but hadn't actually seen, and just remembering some of the packaging and such. Double punch. I know he existed. I've seen the BotCon version of that, but I don't know that I probably could look this up. But it's just nice to have a collection of here's all the stuff in one handy dandy little notebook. Not even a notebook, a bound book. Anyway, now I'm just showing off pictures, but I really do. Like I said, I dig it. I'm glad that it's got some new stuff in it because I did in fact use this, the original version of this book, quite a lot over the last several years. So, yeah, there it is, the Unofficial Guide to Vintage Transformers, 1980s through the 1990s. It's a good little treasure trove of what we love. We're here for Transformers. And it's like I said, it's even got pictures of I don't know how courtesy of CapturedPrey.com. And then these two are courtesy of Chuck Liu of Artfire2000.com. But like, look at that. The Dino cassettes. I mean, I know those exist. I've seen some friends of mine were over in Japan and found like some sealed versions sitting in a window for a lot of money. And I've seen some really low quality pictures of these combiners. That's the first time I think I've really seen these guys with any real clarity. These Dino cassettes that combined over in Japan. So yeah, a lot of neat stuff in here. Like I said, it doesn't hurt to have it on your shelf. I've had the older version on my shelf for a while, and it has come in quite handy. The Unofficial Guide to Vintage Transformers, 1980s through the 1990s, by J.E. Alvarez. Keep an eye out for it because if you have a chance to pick it up, I do recommend doing so.